Hey guys, it's carsonmtech here, back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to get shots with your DJI Mavic Mini that look like this, or even like this, with a little help of some technique and the products that are inside this box. You will have to have a product at least similar to this one, if not this exact one. So you will have to go out and buy something, but it's really not expensive, and the end result, I believe, is worth it. So in this video, I'll be showing you how to get exactly those same shots, but first, we need to take a look at what's inside this box. So let's get right into an unboxing. There you have it. There are the filters. So what you need in order to get these shots is something called a long exposure ND filter. And something that's different between this and a regular ND filter is that this ND filter is incredibly high in its density. So this pack right here comes with a 1000 ND as well as a 2000 ND filter, depending on how long of an exposure you want to take, as well as how much light there is during the day. And the opening process still sucks. I've had this issue with past filters from them. They have this nice little pull tab, but it fails every time. Does not work. Look at that. Destroying the box just to get into it because the pull tab does not work. But it doesn't really matter because inside the box is where you really get the action. And this is the filters itself. Beautiful. And this case isn't just a cheap case because it actually has magnets on it, which is pretty satisfying, honestly, when it's closing. And makes opening and closing it very easy. There's just a branding here on the back, but other than that, there's not really anything on this packaging. So opening it up, you do get a glimpse at the two filters that are included. Obviously, it looks like this is probably a reused packaging, which is fine, but don't fret, you're not supposed to have two additional filters. It just comes with these two. Inside the box, I missed the fact that it does contain a little booklet here, and inside here, you've got a lifetime warranty card, you've got some stickers, you've also got some video tutorials, so you can scan a QR code to get to those if you want. And then you've also finally got a little filter guide. So if you don't know too much about filters and how they work, this will go through and explain them all, including these long exposure ones. So in order to put on a filter, all you gotta do is remove your gimbal protector, which covers the camera. Set that aside, go and take one of the filters that you choose. I'm gonna start off by using the ND 1000 filter. Grab it, so you're not touching the lens itself. And what you're gonna wanna do is push these little metal pins here on the back towards the rear of the gimbal. You're gonna kind of push the front down over the camera and make sure that this snaps down into this heat dissipator here on the back of the camera. And as soon as it's on like so, you are all set. And you don't have to worry about the gimbal calibration or anything like that, because once you have this on, you can leave it on and not have to worry about that calibration whatsoever. Also, when you're done with your flight, the gimbal protector fits on as it usually would, so just putting it onto the camera, locking it in, and you're all set. But now that we've got this on, let's go and show you how to use this in order to get good long exposure photos like those that I showed at the beginning of this video. So let's get right to it. I had no issues with the startup as far as the gimbal calibration goes with this filter on. I wasn't expecting it to, but I just wanted to mention I had no issues there. You will notice that the picture quality coming out of this right now is incredibly dark, and that is just purely because of the fact that this is all being shot through that super darkening filter. So if you want to go and be able to see at least, you know, a little bit, I would advise being in video mode while you are moving around, and also just to go, whether it be in manual and up the exposure a ton, or you have it in auto and it automatically does that for you. But basically, you're not gonna really be able to see a good shot until you finally start taking some images. So to take images, a couple of tips as far as taking long exposure photos goes is, first of all, the biggest thing that you're gonna wanna pay attention to when you are taking a long exposure photo with a drone is to make sure that you are in an environment where there is very little or absolutely no wind, ideally. That's simply because your drone has to go and sit there for such a long period of time in order to get the exposure you want that you do not want any wind to be there, or else you're gonna deal with some drone movement around more than what the drone already does in a typical flight. So that is the number one thing that you're gonna wanna pay attention to. Number two is to definitely be careful while doing this. Because that filter is on your drone, as you can see right now, it is quite difficult to see on the screen what is happening with your drone. So always make sure to keep direct line of sight of your drone at all times, just to make sure that you are not gonna go and accidentally crash it or run into something just because you can't see from your phone screen like you typically would expect to. And thirdly, the final thing that you're gonna wanna pay attention to when you are taking a long exposure photo is your patience. This is the number one thing that I've had a little bit of difficulty with this so far, and that's just purely because it really is difficult to get a good image with a long exposure filter on your drone camera. And that's just purely because the fact that you have to go and shoot a ton of photos. You're gonna wanna go, and once you are taking your photos, really, I mean it, like seriously, take 30 to 50 photos of one specific place in order to go and hope that you get a good, clear shot out of it. Because even in the most perfect environments where you have no wind, you've got nothing else going on, your drone will inevitably go and shift a little bit left or right, and depending how close you are to your subject, you will notice a lot of movement. So with all these things being said, let's go and finally take some images. As you can see, I put myself into regular photo mode. You don't have to do anything special there. And I do have it in auto right now. So when you do take photos with this filter on in auto, this is what you'll get. It'll take an image, and it won't take really that long of an exposure of an image. So you're gonna wanna go and make sure that you click on the auto little camera in the bottom right-hand corner to switch it into manual mode. And what this does is this will allow you to dial in your settings in order to get a long exposure from these filters. So right now I've got my ISO set to 200. I'm gonna up that just one more to 400, and the shutter is open for 1 second. So up here where it's 1 over a number, that is below a second. But the higher you get past 1, so 1.3, 1.6, these are all full seconds. So if you go all the way to the max, which is 4 seconds, you will have to wait 4 seconds for the image to expose. And I would not recommend this unless the drone is just sitting on the ground and you're taking a long exposure that way, just due to the fact that you will not get a clear image. I guarantee you, you will not get a clear image no matter how perfect of a scenario you're in if you go and do a 4-second exposure. So absolutely go, and make sure you stay below 2 seconds, I would say. I found that I get some of the clearer images when I'm at 1.3 or 1 second. So with that being said, if you don't want to leave your drone in place, another unique shot that you can get is push forward very, very slightly on your stick, which moves your drone forward, which in my case, with my stick configuration, is my right hand stick. And pushing that forward, you can go and take an image, and you'll get some streaks out of the image. When you combine this forward movement with something that is static in the distance, you can get some really unique shots. For example, I just took this one right here. I was flying in sports mode pretty much as fast as I could towards this water tower, and as you can see, the water tower tends to be, it's not totally in focus in the distance, but with a little bit of sharpening, you'll be able to get that to look a little bit better. And if you look around it, it's really just drawing everything in on that subject. So if you've got maybe a skyscraper, or maybe you've got a water tower of your own, or a cell tower, something like that, if you want it to be stuck in focus, this could be a pretty unique way to go and get that unique shot that you can't just get out of a regular drone. Another fun thing that having a long exposure lens on your drone can do is it will literally remove all traffic. If you can end up getting a clear image by just staying still with your drone, it will remove all traffic, just because the sensor is open for so long that moving objects in the image tend to not be picked up. So especially if there's not a ton of vehicles in the shot, you can end up getting some really clean street shots without having any vehicles in them. So if that's something that you're wanting to do, I'd recommend going with a higher shutter speed on this one. And there you have it. That is how you get long exposure shots with the Mavic Mini. Overall, with these filters from Freewell, I have been pretty satisfied with what you get out of them. no matter how frustrating these filters are, you can end up getting some pretty cool results out of them. And notably, something that I didn't touch on in this video that could be even cooler is if you happen to have things such as waterfalls or moving water near you. I really wish that there was some form of water nearby me, because in my personal opinion, I believe that the water shots that you can get from waterfalls or anything like that with a long exposure filter on a drone are some of the cooler pictures that you can get out of drones. So if you happen to take any of those yourself, I would love to see them. So if you post that on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, wherever you post it, make sure to tag me at carsonmtech. But with that being said, if you don't have any of these filters and you want to try them out yourself and purchase them, make sure to go and check out the link to purchase them down below in the description, below the like button. But with that being said, that is it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to let me know by clicking the thumbs up button down below, as well as subscribing for future videos like this. And also, if you want to watch my last video, that should be right over there, and another Mavic mini video will be right down there. With that being said, hope to see you in the next video. Peace.